Hello, everybody. Clint here, and I just wanted to say this video is intended for educational use only. I have now reached end of harvest, and these are the last three sour diesel plants remaining. Most of the others I either harvested a little bit early because I had a bud rot problem, but I've cut out most of it. And these are the last of the pristine little trees remaining, at least. But it shows you just how small changes in your grow can change everything. I mean, I just put up the nets and then I got hit with bud rot, and because humidity went up, and I live in a Karoo environment where we have low humidity, and like the plant like that size, I have to water my plants at least 3 times a day in full summer. Later on, I went on to misting them. I went on to dropper systems and all that. I tried all of that for the reason of I just wanted to see what would work in my environment, especially. And if the results are these, then I would imagine if I grew a little bit more properly, then I would get a much better bud, a much better yield, and then yeah, slowly upgrade from there. Why not? We had thunder showers looming, but still, I kept these out still because I just wanted to see how far I could get them to peak ripeness for me. And for me now, I'm a little bit more happy than with the previous trees that I had to harvest earlier. But with each grow, I feel that this is how one should learn. I have absolutely no idea what I was showing here because I had sound problem, and that's why I have to dub this over. Of these small planters, I've learned that I need to water them more often, about 3 times a day in full summer for us here. But I already got nice growing trees out of them. So I was happy with that. But the watering was a little bit too much. I moved on to the 20-liter buckets rather, just to keep in more moisture. And I don't put in too many holes into it because if it has too many holes, then the plant dries out too quickly, even. And yeah, this is the result that I got. I'm quite kind of happy with that, but not completely. I think I still have more work to do. I can get it better, build it up, bulk it up a little bit more, and have a better bud. And there's Snowy, and he just loves running around on the shade nets over here. This also keeps the moisture in for me, but more on that later. I'm running a 50-watt LED bulb, and that's midnight over there staring into nothingness. Yeah, she's been with me as long as this grow has gone on. And you can check out at the back, I'm keeping the seedlings there. These are some vegging plants. They are the same age as the others. I've been trimming them down and everything. This flowering plant and this plant over here flowered at the same time in January, and I've been giving this plant some extra light, simulating summertime so that it reverts back into a vegetative state. This way I know that this plant is female, and then I can maybe grab some clones from her. There's still a small scale insect war going on in my garden, but maybe we win the war. Right there, that's a 50-watt LED bulb that I'm using to keep these girls in flower. Plan here is to maybe see if some of those nodes will grow in a vegetative state, then I can have some new branches or little stems to make clones from. Just an idea. People have done it, but I want to try it. My methods, how I can do it. I think over here there's a helicopter that flew over and I wanted to catch it, but I didn't. This girl over here, I took some clones from her. Most of them failed She was also a flowering plant. I made one clone that I actually rooted, but I made some mistakes, so yeah, I lost that little one. It's just good to know that I can do it. Over here is a little back branch where the light didn't hit, and that little branch went into flower. So where the light hits, that's where this plant grows. And this part of this plant actually still in flower, while the other part is reverting into itself and going into a vegetative stage. For now, I'm going to trim down this plant, and any material I don't want, I'm just going to cut down. I haven't actually fed these girls this whole time that they've been under this light schedule. The plants on this side, I've noticed that the plant goes into a flowering plant when I think it thinks it goes into a grown-up stage, and then it starts shooting pistils, and then it wants to flower. And by giving it the extra light schedule, plus over here you can actually see this is female plants. But with the light schedule and the trimming down of um, the bigger fan leaves, this puts the plant in a state of just wanting to grow still in a vegetative state. So that for me was important. This plant over here, I low stress trained over time, just literally kind of practicing low stress training. She went into flower and I snipped down the bigger leaves. This one actually popped up more because of when I moved the light, but I have to trim down those big fan leaves, and then I can grab clones there from that plant now. But for now, I have all these plants over here. They're kind of out of season. They are photo periods, and I'm going to see if I can carry them through with the winter grow, grab clones from them and everything, and then flower them just before summertime arrives, or maybe carry them on and grow bigger plants. We'll just see. When this plant starts growing vegetatively, this is when I'm going to grab clones from here. And later on from those also, when I feed them and there's maybe new nodes growing, then I can grab clones. There's actually a male in there somewhere. I still have to remove it from there. I don't know if it's this one or one at the back. But since I put them under this light, it hasn't actually popped balls again. You can see the soil that I'm using right here now. This was sourced straight from a little organic spot by the river, and this is one of the main things that I'm upgrading coming this new season. Um, I just wanted to see if I can grow in any type of soil, what would happen. And what I think is that the organic nutrients that I'm using is enough to sustain my entire plants so that they can grow into nice big plump little plants. I just need to put a little bit more care into this part. I swear I want to know what I was indicating with that move. This would be my little pride and joy, low stress trained male actually. This plant hermed on me, but I'm still keeping it. And yeah, just low stress training it and seeing what I can do with it from here on out. These are the last plants for the season, so I wanted to grow them till full maturity and have nice ripe dry comes on them. That's why I've just kept until now, even though the weather didn't keep. And yeah, I lost a lot of plants through bud rot this season, but that's cool. I also grew some tomatoes and some other stuff in this little pot container of mine. And yeah, although it doesn't have drainage holes, so yeah, I kept on drowning weed in it. Nutrients that I used for the plants, I also poured in here, so that's for the tomatoes and stuff. I'm wondering if the banana compost would work better with the tomatoes. I rather opted for a lot of drainage holes at the bottom of these buckets rather than all over the place because the bucket loses more moisture in my environment. Also, I brought in the shade net, and this actually kept in more moisture. There's Snowy is sleeping, very nice. And yes, with this also brought me bud rot, but this we fought with a little fan, and with the air circulation, this cleared up most of the bud rot, and we have some surviving plants. And for now, I'm going to work on the re-vegging of these plants. Definitely more cloning, and I want to low stress train more plants. But yeah, I'm just going to see what works for me and what doesn't. In this little area, yeah, it's all sour diesel and it's feminized, and hopefully we get to turn it into something like this. Okay, I am looking forward to this. One thing is I'm gonna upgrade the soil. Um, Maybe get some potting soil and get the amendments, and then grow from there. If I can grow in this, then I can grow in better in anything else. If I get this type of buds, I feel wrong or right, I'm finding out. Just before I'm gonna chop these, I am gonna descale them, remove any scale insects that they might have, and then it's chop, chop, chop. Um, I've had a whole war zone in on this little mother plant with scale insects, and this is how she looked just before she got chopped. So, and before the bud rot. Um, yeah, I'm keeping this plant in veg. I figure that with the 18:6 time schedule and snipping down the leaves, uh, gives me enough chance for re-vegging from there. Even when the plant flowers and you give it that summertime time schedule, this actually makes the plant still grow. Somebody asked me in my comments once about plants in the equator actually just 2 weeks in and then they start to flower. So I wondered if you gave it more light, actually, if it would flower later and you have a bigger plant actually. Because at the equator you get your time schedule is 12:12, so the plant immediately assumes that it's flowering time just when it's big enough. But I think snipping down the leaves and then giving it time to veg might just do it. Oh, oh. This always pains me to chop up a tree just right before the harvest. Just feels maybe I should just wait a little bit longer. This dog comes on by once in a while and hangs out, so I just patch him up, feed him, and we'll see. If he decides to escape again, then he's meant for the streets. I don't actually weigh my weed at all. I don't bother. What I see is what I get, and I'm happy with that. If you want to guesstimate wet weight, put that in the comments, and I will definitely not know if you are right. What was important for me this grow season was that I can grow out of any soil this plant and get pretty decent buds with organic sourced nutrients. I like this. Okay, check it out. Seedlings for the winter grow. This is mixed bag seeds, so I'm expecting half of them to probably be males or herm or something of the sort. But I've had great success, I guess. I just put them in this little tank with some those veg lights that I have, the waterproof lights over there, and there's a 12 volt little PC fan just running some air in here, and then I'm using some rockwool cubes. And the cats are crazy over here. Yo, Snowy, Snow, you. Anywho, these are all mixed bag seeds. This is a river plant. All of these I sourced from a plant that I found at the river, and it grew from there. It got pollinated, and these are those seeds. I also am germinating one Northern Light seed over there, just see what it would be. This is also a pollinated clone. And yeah, at the back I'm running sour diesel again just to see what it does in the winter. And the orange bud that at the oh my anyway, orange bud at the back row. Yeah, only two have popped since. I don't have much hopes, but we'll see what happens. I have a little 12-volt fan, computer fan running there on a 12-volt power supply, and yeah, it's been good. There's no mold yet, so that it's probably a good sign. Well, I'm hoping. These are some seeds that I have that I've come across as I've been growing. I just sourced the best seeds, maybe, and then tried growing from there. And this is where I got to most of my seeds, or how I grow and all that. And this is like seeds and seeds from there, and I just go on and on and on. Here's some sour diesel from a certain plant and northern lights from another plant. Some of these obviously plants that have gone through a lot of things, and some of the seeds might look a little bit sickly, but I've actually been germinating a lot of them, just seeing what is possible with them in the end. What would grow, what wouldn't. I think it's better to experiment a little bit more. I use tap water to water the girls. This water I let stand outside in the sun though, so that it dechlorinates. Because I'm misting, I think that the chlorine might dissipate as well this way. Over here is a little worm farm, and this is where I'm getting my microbial activity from. And this will also be where I will be sourcing my worm castings from. For potassium, I'm using banana. I used to just mash these and run them through the air pump, but now I'm drying the banana. I actually use the entire banana because I figure that the potassium would be in the fruit and the peel, and also the older the fruit is, the more potassium is in the fruit body itself. So by drying these out, I'm actually concentrating the potassium, and from here I decided to dry it more and more. I also did some experimentation with carrots and mangoes because these also have high levels of potassium, not as much as bananas, but they do have some. Uh, the carrot I just, well, diced finely and left in the sun, and this dried out nicely, and then I ground them from here in a powder, so this can suitable for long-term storage. And from here on out I just mashed it a little bit more with my pestle and mortar and made it a little powder. Because it's so hot here in the Northern Cape, air drying this outside on a rack is actually quicker than even oven doing it in an oven. Something to remember is the temperatures need to be kept low, or the nutrient might degrade. You can also dechlorinate water by running an air pump through them for a bit, and this is also in which I make my compost tea in. The aeration keeps the microorganisms alive, and they are in turn responsible for transforming the given nutrients into something that the plants can take up through their roots. Yeah, I've already added 5 caps of a sea grow fish emulsion. I've got my dechlorinated water. Here's some compost for some nitrogen and some microbial activity. I use a little funnel to just throw into the 5 liter bottle. I just find it easier than trying to fit a teaspoon into there. It's gonna go everywhere. I use about 4 to 5 teaspoons of this, like 1 per liter water, I guess. Next up is some bone meal. If I give too much of this, it attracts a lot of flies, so I'm keeping at 3 teaspoons of this. Mind you, they're heap teaspoons, so don't go thinking it's just 5 ml that I'm throwing in. For calcium, I'm adding some crushed eggshell. Yeah, I added just 1.5 teaspoons. You can actually add more of this if you want. Next up, I have 3 different types of what I feel is high potassium nutrients that I can give. All of these sun-dried, snipped up, crushed down, and then ground into a powder. And I feel that that way, as more of the plant comes in contact with the water, then there would be much more deposits within the water that would be converted again for the plant's uptake later on. This is a light brew, so I decided just to throw in about 3 teaspoons. This The dark one was the banana, there's mango, and there's carrot. I could actually mix all of these, it wouldn't make a difference, but maybe it would in taste. Maybe. But yeah, I'm just happy I found more sources of potassium. In this brew, I do not use Epsom salts as this disrupts any microbial activity. I would end it at the end, but it's better to make just a new brew with that and a little bit of compost. I'll cover that later on. Oh, I forgot to add here the worm castings as to boost some microbial activity, and this would also boost some other nutrients, nitrogen, and all that that would get deposited into the water and then into the plants. Much fun, good stuff. Even this bubbles a lot and it moves a lot of the debris and the stuff inside. I still like to stir it still as to keep everything flowing and growing. I consider this a light brew and I can give it every week or so. I can make a darker brew where I add more of the compost and stuff. That one, that's my brew. When I see some deficiencies on the plants, especially with nutrient uptake and so, I make a brew with the compost and about a teaspoon of this Epsom salts and water, and I give that to the plants later on, and this balances out any nutrient deficiencies in plants. I forgot to add some sugar. Usually I use brown sugar for this, but I was out, so I'm using white sugar. Just a teaspoon. This is to feed the microbes in your tea. I am aware you can use honey and also molasses, but I do not have any in my area, so I will keep on looking. Now for a dark brew, usually I throw half of this in another 5 liter bottle, fill that up with your dechlorinated water and give it to the plants. But because this is a light brew, I feel it's already diluted enough uh, without me adding more water as to dilute it more. This is like feeding every, I can almost say every 5 days, but let's say weekly. This is what the tea looks like about after a day of brewing. I can go more or I can go less. I usually, if it smells a little bit rank, then it's off. I throw it away. But further on, if it has a nice earthy smell, I put that on my plants. My thanks to the camera woman. Application of the feed for me, it's just like half a cup to a cup per plant, and this will soak into the soil. And remember, I'm misting, so there's that as well. For the mother plant, I'm giving a little bit extra. Remember, by brewing it this way, I can make tea every few days and basically give nutrients as a supplementary feed. I like to wait about 3 days though, because this will indicate on the plant what the nutrients did to it. So yeah, I do grow in a little desperate part of the world where it's a little bit too hot, not enough humidity and all that, but at least I'm getting some form of plant and I'm trying to grow it to the best of my ability. Check this. This is what I get to buy when I run out of my own, and this is the only that's available to everyone in this little town. This prompted me to say, Bazingas! I'm gonna grow my own, and yeah, it's been a journey.
Hey.
One of my first tries in low stress training, and yeah, it's winter 2023's grow over years a plant. This is actually an indication that I've been growing them a little bit too long and the plant is trying to flower again, foxtailing and all that. This is stuff that I learned as I went along, and this is why I grow. I learn. Yeah, I tried some low stress training by letting the plant grow up this moss pole looking thing, and I think it's quite successful. The end result for me was pretty good. I would have liked if I could have grown the whole thing. I grew two of them, and one of them actually hermed. It could have been because of the seeds, but back then I actually just tried growing the plant, not going too much into detail about everything. Even with the re-vegging, I just thought I'd learn how to do it, and what I learned was leaving as much upgrow as possible, and the plant will basically grow from there. Some of them not so much, but yeah, I've had successes, so I can at least brag with that. That's a pepper tree. But yeah, if you leave nothing, you'll get nothing. My very first sour diesel auto plant, and the reason it's that size was I was growing it in winter and it didn't have enough light, but it still gave me a lot of buds, and it actually gave me some seeds, and those are the leggy seedlings that I keep talking about. Here's my first mainline experiment, and this is my Northern Lights, the mother plant that I'm still keeping now. It's the first time I topped her. I tried making a clone, but that one failed. And I think it's about then that I thought, no, I just wanted to up my game a bit and really start growing plants and cloning plants. Here's a little kettle grow I started. This was the second time. The first time it failed because it didn't have any drainage holes and the plant got waterlogged and they died off. So from there I just thought, okay, drainage holes, that's why that's important. And I guess this is why I grow. I want to experiment with all of this. This is my first mainline experiment, and yeah, it turned out pretty good. With the 2023 trees, there was no prep involved or anything. It was just I wanted to keep the plant alive to see how big I can get it with basic nutrients, basically. first time growing Northern Lights. This was how big she was before I started taking more cuttings from her. I remember that if I failed the first cutting, and this is where I started with all the experimentation to see in what conditions I needed to grow in my environment to actually clone plants. And yeah, it got fun. All of this I harvest in April 2024. So all these cutting experiments and cloning and everything, this is what I'm harvesting now. I remember this where I actually got a pot full of weed plants from my brother, and I just started cloning from them. Did I know what I was doing? No. Do I know what I'm doing now? Still no, but I'm doing it better than what I was doing then. Oh, check open-ended humidity domes that I tried that did not work for my environment. I had a lot of losses, but yeah, in the end I feel it's all worth it. I did this 2-liter humidity clone thing where I just packed them in there, and yeah, I just wanted to see if it would work, and I got out on top. I used this cotton wool with a rooting powder thing, and I got roots, and after that I got more roots. Shout out to Smoking Planters and all the guys that have helped me with learning how to grow. Yeah, I watch YouTube videos and I learn from there. I'm not somebody that's been growing forever, and that's why I'm trying all these things, as to just get to a point where I learn stuff that's right for my environment by my means and all that. This method works for me as well. It's basically humidity domes on some clones, and yeah, they rooted. Actually, I had a lot of success with these. Rooting time was about 20 days, I think. I'm not too certain. Some of them, I think, rooted sooner than that. I think it's all about the conditions, of course. My favorite way to clone now would be with this toilet roll cardboard in a tube. And thus far I've had a lot of successes with this. I think I lost about 2 of those. Over here, all of these are the Northern Light clones. A lot of these plants have some different forms of stress on it. Here some leaf mutation, some bud mutation. But overall I'm quite happy with what I've accomplished. Upping my gardening game, I guess. I'm a florist. So I've been keeping my little Northern Lights mother plant in veg this whole time with the LED lighting. And yeah, I'm gonna see if I can actually take her through winter. Also, there's a few other things that I still want to try out with that plant. So if you want to join me on my journey, please subscribe. Maybe like this, and yeah, that's about it. If you want to support the channel, buy me a coffee, check out.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day.